What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another week of the Maryland Made podcast. It's Sophia here to host again with two new graduating student athletes. The Maryland Made podcast provides timely, relevant, and practical information to empower student athletes to explore their potentials and pursue their passions. This week's episode is a follow-up to part one of The Best Is Yet to Come. Joining us today, we have two other graduating UMD college athletes. I'm going to let them introduce themselves in a second, and then we'll get into a discussion about their time here at Maryland and looking ahead. So to start off, let's just have each of you introduce yourselves, give a little background on your story, who you are, how you got to Maryland, and then we'll dive in. So feel free, anyone can go first.
I can start. So hi, I'm Brooke Weston, and I am a senior on the women's soccer team. I'm from Cleveland, Ohio, and I'm a math major. A little bit of story about how I got to Maryland. It was honestly just like a spur of the moment kind of thing, and just decided to commit here, and I've loved it ever since.
Love it. What about you, Cam? Let's hear a little bit more about you and your story.
Yeah, hi, I'm Kamryn Henderson. I'm a fifth year on the women's track and field team. In particular, I do a shot put and hammer. I'm originally from Waxhaw, North Carolina, and I'm a bioengineering pre-health major with a minor in global engineering leadership. Also, similar to Brooke, Maryland was kind of a spur of the moment for me as well. It was a last minute signing. Like I signed like probably right before the last date. But what really drew me to Maryland was one of the few schools that had like the academic support and really allowed me they were open to me doing whatever degree I wanted. Like when I said I would do engineering, they're like, great, we can make that work, rather than, is there something else you want to look into? So that really what drew me to Maryland.
I love that. Obviously, both of you have a ton of free time given the very challenging majors and things that you all are studying. So both of you mentioned something that I kind of want to dive into a little bit here in our first segment, just kind of focusing on your time here at Maryland. So both of you mentioned being out-of-state students. How did you really adjust to being away from home? Thinking back to your first, maybe month or first year here on campus, what was that like adjusting to being out of state here?
I think just like finding like time to like spend with friends and also like get to know more people is way like how I adjusted to being away from home. Whether that might be just like going to like the study hall room and just like sitting with like one of your teammates and doing homework, or just like getting food, just trying to like make the most relationships that I could, kind of helped me make College Park feel like home.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Cam?
Yeah, so very similar. I would say just like build up a support system here. I was lucky enough that I got really close with my freshman year roommate, and she was in state. So, her family became my family. So that was nice to have that connection here. Also, just like my teammates, they kind of become your family just because you spend almost all your waking hours with them. So that definitely helped. And just, I also like tried to make time to make sure I stay connected with my family and friends back home as well, so I didn't lose those connections.
Yeah, definitely. So kind of focusing to you, Kamryn, you told us how challenging of a major and studies you've had while here at Maryland, and, all of your demands that you have on you for your sport. And, I'm, spoiler alert to our listeners, prepping for medical school, etc. Just talk to us how you really manage your time here, while also trying to maximize your experience. Would love to just hear a little bit more about that and your experience.
Yeah. Honestly, it was a learning curve. Freshman year was definitely an adjustment. First semester was rough, but I definitely figured out that it's really just time management, self-care. Those are like the two big values that I've used to try to stay on track and keep my sanity. I use Google Calendar. It's like my best friend. If it's not my calendar, it's probably not going to happen. So I make sure I put everything in my Google Calendar, including study time and homework time and things like that. And something else I found really helpful is actually the focus on like the iPhones they have. Like I'll have it set for different things. So if I am doing homework, I set it so I'm not distracted. It's really easy to scroll on TikTok and do other things. But if I find I just put my phone away, I'm able to work a lot more effectively. I'm also a huge fan of like kind of small rewards. So if I study for an hour, I get to like, eat a snack or watch TikTok or something, and just do that to keep me motivated. And also just self-care. I really try not to do too much work past 8 p.m. I found that works well for me. And just like making sure I take time out of my day for myself. So if that's cooking or watching Netflix or just things that I enjoy. That's definitely helped me manage everything and also like enjoy my time at college as well.
Right. Yeah. Because for me, like that sounded like you have like such a like strict schedule that you have to adhere to, which you've adhered to probably your whole life, being an athlete. So do you feel like there are parts of your college experience you didn't really get to like fully enjoy or take advantage of because of all those kinds of restraint or constraints that you had to fit in? Or do you feel like because you put in those constraints, you were able to actually enjoy yourself?
I feel like it's a mix of both. I
Yeah.
definitely in the beginning, I felt like I was missing out on something just as I was trying to figure out time management, all of that. But as I got later into like my junior and senior year, I definitely felt like I was able to balance school and my life a lot better. And I started making sure I had time to hang out with my friends and not miss the hangouts. Like obviously when I'm in season, I do miss a lot of them because I'm traveling every
Right.
weekend, but I really try to take advantage of that in the fall semester when my load is a lot lighter and try to make some memories then.
Right. Also, I will also shout out the do not disturb function on the iPhone. Like I have that on all the time, I feel like. So, all right, Brooke, I'll hand it over to you. So really, how did you approach your time here to ensure that also spoiler alert for listeners, Brooke had such an impressive internship, has, also had some really exciting job opportunities for her time post Maryland. So really, how did you approach your time here to ensure that you had those opportunities secured and set up for you? And what was really important for you to balance and keep in mind, like thinking what Kamryn talked about for balancing? What was that like for you?
Yeah, so I knew I like wanted to do an internship like between like each grade, so like freshman to sophomore and then sophomore to junior. And then by the time that I was going into my senior year, I really wanted to get a full-time offer. So I had that goal like since freshman year. So I think that was like what's helped me because I've had like a focus throughout the years of like what I wanted to do, and especially when it comes to like applying for different internships. Um Specifically like applying for this internships for this previous summer, like I just applied to like a wide variety of different companies, just like tech, banks, like that kind of thing, and just kind of seeing where like a best fit for me would be. And also I think that like I use that to my advantage just because like I interviewed at so many places that by the time I was interviewing for these like higher level jobs, like kind of had that down. So that really helped me. And then also just like relating back to coursework, like I knew that like going into these internships, I would need more coding experience. So I just made sure that I like registered for classes that like I would know would apply to my internship, because that honestly kind of like helped me in the end because I use those skills the most. And then also like what's important for me to balance was that like, so during my internship over the summer, it was a lot of hours, and with soccer being in the fall, I had some summer workouts I had to do, and then towards the end I was having to do like double days on top of like working 40-hour weeks, which was a lot, and I realized that I was spreading myself way too thin. So I think what I've learned is just to like keep my priorities in check, and also just like find time for myself and like just do the little things, whether that might be like honestly like taking like an hour break and or just doing like what Kamryn was saying, like self-care things, because like spreading yourself way too thin is just not enjoyable, and also it's just like it doesn't set you up for a success in any like industry that you're in. So yeah.
Definitely. Yeah, you all are both like learning such at an early age, like skills are going to help you be successful later on in life when you're working, full time and all those things. And Karen, I want to follow up on one thing. So like Brooke talked about how she approached her time here to prepare herself for the internships. I know you're studying for the MCAT right now. So how did you was that like a freshman year like decision? You're like, I know I'm studying for the MCAT, and so I got to spend my time here working toward that, or what did that decision making process look like for you?
Yeah, it was a roller coaster. Definitely figuring out the med school application process is very confusing. They don't make it easy for you at all. But I did know from freshman year that I knew I did not want to go straight into med school, straight out of school. I just knew for me that wasn't going to be the best plan because it would have been too much to at least like do school track and say for the MCAT. But then the fifth year came around, and also like opened up a lot of things because I have a lot lighter course load this year. So I'm able to dedicate my time towards studying towards the MCAT. So I just now started studying for that pretty heavily this past August. And just following a plan for that. I try to do 3 hours a day. and take breaks on Saturday and just be like, I'm not staying on Saturday, but go 3 hours during the week and maybe like 3 hours on Sunday. But I tried to use my time leading up to it by taking all of my prereqs before I started studying for the MCAT. So I finished all of my prereqs last year. So that definitely helped, as I feel like really prepared. And I also took the recommended courses. So some things they like recommend are required, like psychology and sociology. I took those because it makes studying for the MCAT easier because you already have that behavioral science background. So really just using that helped. And right now I'm also working in a lab as well, trying to help build up my med school resume as well, and also just get that experience in, because that is one path you can take in med school, is going research. And at my point in my life, I wasn't confident if I wanted to go clinical research, so I had to get that experience to help make that decision. But yeah, it's been a long process, but it's finally coming together now.
Yeah, you two are just so impressive because of just how disciplined. I feel like both of you have kind of shared in your stories of like how you had like that goal in mind and what you've done during your time here to maximize your sport experience here, like with track and soccer, but then also maximizing knowing that what life is going to be like for you post Maryland. So I just really admire both of you for your discipline and your work ethic. So one thing I kind of want to follow up on though, for both of you, is what parts of your identity do you feel like you've had to work on growing and developing while you've been here at Maryland? So probably both of you identified pretty heavily as athletes in your respective sports coming here, but what are just like other parts of your identity that you feel like you've explored while you've been here at Maryland?
I can start. I would say for me, a big identity was being a female engineer. Something a lot of female engineers struggle with is imposter syndrome. And I know I personally struggled with it a lot. I felt like I didn't belong all the time, and that how did I like, do I really deserve to be here? Just because, sometimes you hear a lot of voices coming all around you that, you don't belong. So I struggled with imposter syndrome for a long time. I felt like I just learned to believe in myself, and that like you got here because like you had the grades, you had everything, like you have every right to be here just like everyone else in this room. So like through Maryland, I really just got to just explore like what it is to be an engineer and be a female engineer, because it's great. I've absolutely enjoyed my experience. I would not have changed my major for anything. I think it was a great choice. But I really think exploring that has taught me a lot about myself and like what I want out of life as well.
Yeah, both of you are such impressive women in STEM. So we love a woman in STEM. So Brooke, I'll hand it over to you. What about you? What's an identity that you feel like you've explored or grown or developed during your time here?
Yeah, I mean, similar to Cam, just being like in a male dominated like field, like just going in, especially during my internship and like also like during like upper level classes, like walking into a room and being like one of like few females in there. It's just kind of like one of those things where I've learned to like embrace it. So that's kind of like one of part identity that I've had to like develop. It's just kind of like embracing the fact that like people think like you're not as smart as you are, and just kind of like proving them wrong. I've kind of like found it like fun and exciting because it's just like a part of like me that like likes to prove people wrong. So yeah, so I think that's like an identity that I've developed when I've been here.
I love that. I love hearing that. So you kind of alluded to this, both of you, a little bit, but what has been or who has been a go-to resource for you here at Maryland?
Can it be a person?
Yeah, totally.
I would say our athletic trainer, Cara, just because like she's always like open to listen to everyone and like everyone's feelings, and she's just like a person who will like give you the best advice, and like I don't know, she just makes you feel very comfortable with like what you're feeling, and just like knows how to comfort you. And like having like a person like Cara around, especially like during practice and like on away trips, is just like very comforting. So Cara is definitely mine.
I love that. I love also giving more recognition to athletic trainers because they
Yeah.
work hard and they are always on the clock. So shout out to all the athletic trainers.
Definitely.
I would say the Maryland Maid staff, just because honestly they've kind of been my biggest like hype people. They like, I feel like sometimes it's really hard, at least for me, to like see like what I've done is impressive. So just having people sometimes just be like, you need to remember like what you've done is cool and all of that. So I think always having people behind me that are hyping me up, that's really helped me build my confidence. And yeah, I feel a lot more confident about the future, and that I can really do whatever I want with my skill set.
Totally. And I'll just echo that. Like, I love y'all being y'all's hype woman. Like, for me, like, I know I'm older than both of you, but I'm like, I look up to both of you in so many ways because I just feel like y'all are just gonna go on. You already have done, but go on and do such impressive things in your careers, and like truly leaning into that woman in STEM like identity. Like, I just know that that's something that both of y'all are going to be leading professionals in. So a little more on the sentimental side, but what has been your favorite Maryland memory? And if it hasn't happened yet, you can maybe manifest something right here on this podcast too.
I think mine is more recent when we beat Michigan in our first Big Ten game on like a Friday night, and like it was just so fun because there was like a good crowd, it was under low lights, and it was just like so fun because like we've worked pretty hard like over from the spring till now to win that game. So yeah, that was definitely one of my most favorite memories here.
And no hard feelings. I was cheering for y'all anyways. So, and that was, I feel like, special to also watch too, because we've watched so many of you come in as freshmen on the team.
Yeah.
And like just see y'all achieve that goal, I think is something that we all, like as a staff, at least we were talking about.
Yeah.
I'm so happy for you all too.
Yeah,
so,
it was very rewarding. Thank you.
Yeah. What about you, Kamryn?
I guess one memory that comes to mind is we were at a meet in Florida, and we had it was during spring break, so we had a extra time, and my whole event group, we just like went to a escape room and just like did escape room for a minute, and it was just like for an hour. It was just like such a crazy experience because we're such a weird group. So it was truly a memory for both positive and negative. It was just a great time. But I think it was just, I really like the time of when I'm with my team outside of like the sport thing. I think that really is where we grow the most, and a lot of my favorite memories come from those dinners or those like escape rooms or going to the beach or things like that.
Mm-hmm. Escape rooms also teach you a lot about people. Like, those are the spaces where you learn, like, I don't really know if I'd ever want to be stuck in a room with you ever again. I love that. So want to hear from both of you. You both have been involved in Maryland Made very heavily, I feel like, from the beginning of your college careers. But what's been your favorite Maryland Made program or experience that you've had through Maryland Made?
I think my favorite Maryland Made program is just Gossip Fellows, because it was a way where we could like meet other student athletes and also just kind of like get to know everyone and like what everyone else's goals are, which I thought was really interesting. And I honestly think it like helped me form relationships with like people on other teams and everything. And also just like what Gossip Fellows provides is just like the resume building, LinkedIn and everything like really helped me like form that foundation moving into like these internships and stuff. So
yeah, love that.
I think one that really stuck out to me was the interview prep. Like when we did the mock interviews, that one, I like always remember that one, and that was a great program. And I like how we split out into like our kind of career field. So the questions were definitely more geared towards our career field, and getting that feedback right away was an absolutely great program. And
Yeah.
it was like very useful.
Love that. That's good to hear. Final question in this section is, what's been your biggest accomplishment so far? Let's give yourselves a chance to brag about yourself. It doesn't have to be athletic. It doesn't have to be academic. It can really be, you made a friend the first week of freshman year. Like, that could be your biggest accomplishment. Like, what would that be looking back?
I think mine is not really like anything like tangible, but like just like changing my mindset of just like trying to be like happy in everything that I do, and just like trying to find things that make me happy, which is something that I've learned over the years, just because with all like the mental stress of like sports and school and everything. So I think my like ability to like find positives in everything and just be happy has been like one of my like biggest accomplishments over the years, I think.
Yeah, that's huge. I love that.
I would say my biggest accomplishment, at least one like I can remember, is for my bioengineering capstone, we actually won the whole project of my whole major. So that was like a really proud moment for me and my group, because I felt like it was just an accumulation of my whole degree, and like seeing like, that you won the capstone and that the whole faculty agreed that your project was the best it was a really big accomplishment. It just kind of felt like it wrapped up my engineering degree in like a very pretty little bow, and like it was great.
That is incredible. I love that. Very cool. Well, y'all definitely have a lot to be proud of. moving to the next segment, just thinking about what's next. I mentioned this to other student athletes we had on part one. Like, I'm sure you probably felt this way like in high school, but now like the most popular question right now as you're graduating is, so like what's next? Like, what are you doing after Maryland, right? And I don't really want to focus too much on that question, but more so, I mean, if you want to, feel free to share like what is next for you after Maryland, but I really want to focus more so on what do you hope your life looks like for you after Maryland? You know, where do you think you'll be living? Do you want to be in a city? You want to be in like more suburbs? Like, what does your day-to-day look like? What's like your workout schedule? What's your relationship with your sport look like at that time? So kind of want to talk a little bit more about that, hear from each of you.
Yeah, I can start. So after Maryland, I'll be moving to DC, probably like the Arlington area, and I'll be working for Amazon, specifically like Amazon Web Services as a business intelligence engineer. So I'll be like reverse commuting to like Herndon, Virginia, which is where like their headquarters is, and there's another headquarters being built in Arlington. So I don't know what office I'll work out of, but probably one of those. So, and then what does my day look like? Well, I'll be working. So that 9 to 5. So after the 9 to 5, like honestly, like kind of going off like the workout schedule, like I just want to like try like a bunch of different workout classes like as I can, just because like being like a soccer athlete, there's kind of like really like specific things you can just do. Like it's just like running or sprint workouts and then lifting and everything, or soccer stuff. So I just want to be like, I want to try like Pilates and like bar, and like I've done like Peloton workouts before on the bike, and I've done like spin classes, which are super fun. So kind of just want to like bop around and try different like workout classes and everything. And also like I'm really into like long distance running, so kind of just like exploring that more. And then as far as it goes with like my relationship with my sport, I would definitely want to still be involved with like Maryland women's soccer, and like I'll definitely like, since I'm just gonna be close, like I'll definitely come up for like senior day just to see some of like people like graduate and everything, and then also for like alumni day and everything. So also like I know there's like a bunch of like leagues where like you can play like pickup and everything, so maybe I'll get involved with that. But honestly, I feel like for myself, I probably will need like a little break from it and just kind of like explore other things.
Totally. Well, Jaden Ritter, who was on the podcast last time, she also loves Pilates now. And I told her that maybe she's going to have a side hustle as a Pilates instructor. So you should hit her up and she's going to be in Chicago, I think. So
oh, wow.
Maybe if you ever go visit Chicago, you can take her Pilates classes.
Yeah.
I'm manifesting that for her.
Yeah. No, I've definitely thought of being like a spin instructor. Like I feel like that would be fun, but I don't know. That requires a lot of time too. So I don't know.
Right. Yeah, totally. What about you, Kamryn? What does life look like for you after Maryland? I know it's a little bit more uncertain in terms of like med school and that kind of stuff, but you know, like what are your hopes and dreams for what, you know, your post-Maryland life looks like?
Yeah, so like you said, med school is the next step. For me, I just want to live someplace warm. I don't like the cold.
Yeah.
I just want to stay someplace warm. Florida, California. I just don't want it to get super cold. And definitely probably more suburban. I'm not a huge city person. I like the more suburbs, to be able to get to the city in like an hour, but don't need to live in the city. Well, I'll be a med student, so if I can get a weekend off every month, I think that would be great. That would be an ideal thing, but obviously day to day as a med student is very hectic and all of that, but it's 4 years of your life, and you know it's all worth it in the end. Workout schedule, similar to Brooke, I definitely want to try out different things. Right now we're just a lot of weightlifting. That's like our main source of like working out outside of practice. I like to like I've been getting into yoga recently, really like yoga, so maybe exploring that more and trying different types of yoga. Found out there's multiple types. So like doing different types of yoga, that'd be nice. Also relationship with my sport, I'm definitely going to take a break probably after. But I think definitely at some point in the future, I would like to either like volunteer to high school or just something to give back. And because throwing a lot of people don't know about throwing. It's a very small thing. So maybe like in the future, I would like to get back into it, but definitely right after definitely just probably take a break from throwing as a whole and just explore new sort of workout things.
I love that. So both of you just seem to be really open to new things. It sounds like a lot of exciting things are on the horizon for both of you. So really excited to see, how both of your different lives and paths manifest and unfold after Maryland. So going into our third segment here of just like advice to share. If there's one thing that you could tell your freshman year self, what would it be and why?
Something that I would tell my freshman year self is just to like find things that like make you happy, like kind of like what I said earlier, is just like spending time with like your friends as much as you can, and like just like doing things that like make you laugh and like have a good time and like make those memories, I think is something that I would tell my freshman year self to like do more of.
Yeah, definitely agree with that. I would say also just like balance. I would tell just like find a healthy balance. I feel like freshman year it was all just like school and track and nothing else. And it was not a great time all the time, but just balancing, like you have to make time for your friends, you have to make time for yourself. So just really self-care. I feel like that's something, yeah, just self-care and find balance between everything.
Yeah, definitely makes sense. What is something that scares you about leaving Maryland? So talk a little about some advice from like yourself when you got here, but then thinking about leaving here, what is something that you are scared of? Or maybe it's just something that you're looking forward to, but also makes you feel a little apprehensive.
Something that scares me about leaving Maryland is just like, I don't know, I feel like like the campus, especially like athletics, is just kind of like its own community. So just like knowing everyone and seeing so many like familiar faces like on a day-to-day basis, and then going into like the real world and like living in an apartment where I don't know everyone like that lives next, you know what I mean? That kind of thing like is a little scary to me, but it's also exciting just like trying new things and just like finding like different things that I enjoy like in a new city, and like I don't know, that's also really exciting for myself.
Yeah. And you'll have access to so many other young people. I mean, Kamryn, depending where you end up,
Yeah.
I'm assuming you also have young people because you'll have your med school cohort, but like Brooke, thinking about you, like being so close to DC and everything that's like in the Virginia, Maryland area, like you'll have so many other young professionals to
Yeah.
be with too.
Yeah, I hope so.
Yeah. No, you definitely will. What about you, Kamryn? Is there anything that scares you or you feel apprehensive about? Besides the fact that like med school is probably such a like one of the more challenging things you can do, right? Post undergrad.
Moving to a new place again. Like, you get used to it. Like been at Maryland, it'll be 5 years. So just moving someplace else. But I'm also excited. I love going to new places and meeting new people and having new experiences. So it's both scary to, pick up your life again and move somewhere else, but also super exciting because you get to reinvent yourself and start over sometimes too. So I'm excited.
Totally. And this is like the perfect time in life to do that, right? Where you have not as many other commitments to, maybe other things or people relying on you all the time. So I think it's like the perfect time to do that. We're going to move into a little section I like to call rapid fire, which kind of allows you to just kind of answer whatever comes to mind first. I'm going to give you a little phrase and then just whatever comes to mind, just say it, to kind of do some more reflection on your time here. So first one, best study spot on campus.
Mine is Gossett.
Really? Okay.
Used to be the library, but now people used to make fun of me for going to the library. Now it's Gossett.
Kamryn, what about you?
I like going to IREE. Like they have like conference rooms that like aren't being used throughout the floors, and it's like super quiet in there all the time. So definitely like IREE.
I was about to say, both of you, I feel like I see pretty frequently in Gossett studying. So I expected one of you to say Gossett. Yeah. Okay. Best go-to grab and go meal that you're getting, like on your way to class or wherever you're on your way to. What is the best go-to grab and go meal?
Honestly, an Uncrustable.
I love that.
I honestly usually grab like a ham and cheese sandwich or turkey and cheese sandwich from one of like the cafes on campus, like the Maryland Sandwich Factory things. They hit sometimes.
Where are those? I don't think I know where those are.
Like they're like the cafes. Like there's like the Breakpoint Cafe in IREE, and then like Kim Engineering has one. Like a lot of the buildings have like these small little cafes, and you can just like grab a sandwich.
Love that. Okay, so you both are sandwich people. Got it. Next question. Senioritis. Is it real or is it fake?
Real.
Very real. fifth yearitis is even stronger.
I love it. What's the favorite place that you've lived on campus or off campus, I guess, too?
My current apartment in T Row.
What
fun.
makes it your favorite?
Well, we just have like the corner room, so it's like much bigger, and I don't know, we just have like a good time in there.
I love it.
For me, it's probably Prince Frederick Hall. It's where I lived my freshman and sophomore year.
What about that makes it your favorite?
One, the rooms were huge. Like ever since then, my room has gotten smaller, which is crazy because I went from a dorm to apartments, but like the rooms were humongous. And also just like I was with my honors college, so we would just like hang out on the lounge and all of that. So it was just a great community.
Well, and depending where you live for med school, your apartments might just keep getting smaller and smaller. Just getting more expensive and more expensive. That just seems to be how life works as a young professional. What are you gonna miss most about Maryland?
I would say the people and like seeing everyone like day to day. It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, definitely the community and just seeing people as well.
I feel like for me, when I left college, it was so weird just not being able to like walk like either down the hall or like down the street to like where your best friends live, you know? Like that's just like not something that you get anymore when you're no longer in school. So that definitely is hard to adjust to. Thanks for doing that with me. Before we really wrap up, I want each of you to share with our listeners, how can our listeners, the Maryland Made team, Maryland Athletics, continue to support each of you in this next phase of life?
I think like just staying connected like on like different like social media platforms is like honestly like the easiest way. Like I know with like people who graduated from like the team and everything, like we don't really like, it's hard to find time to like talk on the phone and everything, but like just like sliding up on people's like Instagram stories or like commenting on their Instagram posts is just like the easiest way that I feel like I stay connected with people.
Definitely.
Maybe that.
Okay, got it. Sounds good. What about you, Kamryn? What can we do to support you, future doctor?
Yeah, no, I agree with Brooke. Just stay connected. I think those connections you build in college, like sometimes it can be easy for them to disappear, but just like maintain them and keep your network growing. So, you know, connect with us on LinkedIn. Like all of that. The bigger the network, the better.
Yeah, I feel like if anything, if Maryland Made has taught you all anything, it's LinkedIn. So I love that. Well, thank you both for taking the time to speak with me today. Like I said earlier, we're just so proud of both of you and all that you have accomplished here at Maryland and really are excited to see what lies ahead for each of you. Hopefully we see you at alumni events in the future and you all stay connected through M Club and have access to that definitely as a resource to continue to support you all. But we wish you all the best. Thank you so much for everything that you've done to lead your teams, to lead your majors, and in your careers. And we're just looking forward to staying connected and seeing what you all do next. So thank you both. And to all of our Maryland Made podcast listeners, we'll see you next time.
Thanks, Sophia.
Thank you.